Hello, hello! Welcome to ClubChrisette. I'm your host, Chrisette, and today we are starting a game called A Light in the Dark. Well, hang on. Let me see if I need to configure the language first. Okay, good, it's in English. my non-Japanese ass, you know. Alrighty, I don't know what the game's about, really. It's just kind of been on my wish list on Steam, and it was on sale sorta recently. I say that and I probably mean like a couple months back, but I've been saving this game because I've been wanting to play this with you guys, and I'm excited to get started. So without further ado, let's begin A Light in the Dark. This world is not fair. There was a saying, the world is one big, intricate machine, with the people as its cogs and the law as its screws, the countless pieces connected with each other in order to operate. Through continuous refining on top of repeated collapse and reconstruction, modern society is eventually formed. The more complicated a machine appears to be, the more delicate it really is. One loose screw would stop the whole thing. One failed detail would lead to collapse. Therefore, we must be ever vigilant and watchful and remove every single problematic piece. Triple dot? No, that's not a triple dot. 6 dots? Mommy needs to head out and take care of something, so have dinner without me. You can eat whatever you like. Hell yeah, ice cream for dinner. If Daddy calls, just tell him I'm in a class, okay? The laughter of an unknown man, hurried footsteps, and the sound of an engine starting. It was at that moment I heard the sound of dissonance from the machine. It was very cold. I felt a freezing chill as I regained consciousness. It wasn't so much that I felt cold when I awoke, but that an icy draft had caused me to wake up. As I opened my eyes, they were met by darkness. All I could make out was that I was in some sort of small room. This place was unknown to me. It wasn't my room, nor was it a hotel. My head hurt as if I had a hangover. I tried to stand up in order to find some sort of light switch, but all I felt from my legs was numbness. Where am... The smell of cigarettes and mold in the air was nauseating. As I fought to regain my bearings, I realized that something was not quite right. What happened to me? A sense of unease came over me. I tried to calm down and organize my thoughts. I recalled that I was on my way home from cram school. Finally up, rich boy. Oh, we're a guy? An unfamiliar voice rang in my ears, right when I opened my mouth to ask. Oh my God. Out of nowhere, a foot swiftly sunk itself into my stomach, launching me toward the law. I felt my stomach turn and I almost vomited. However, all that came out was a dry fit of coughing. I couldn't stop spasming on the ground. All that was on my mind was the intense pain, yet I was also too scared to make any sound. Who is she? My body is not responding. I have to escape. What happened? Countless questions went through my mind, but before I could speak, I heard that voice again. Who gave you permission to talk? There was no change in her expression as she watched me struggle. There was nothing but a look of pure animosity in her eyes. You better keep your mouth shut. I do not have the patience nor intention to play nice with you. Got that? I struggled to stand up, then came to the shocking realization that my limbs weren't numb. They were tightly tied up with rope. I struggled against it, but the ropes were far tighter than I imagined. Rich boy, do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Or do you only respond after a good beating? Bitch. Another kick made me almost scream and curse at her. However, knowing now was not the time to confront her, I grit my teeth to force myself to stay calm. Anything I said at that moment could be fatal. I had to grasp the situation first. Is that a smile? I think that is a smile. I'll zoom in on that and lighten it up and we can see later. Suddenly she got closer. Not realizing her intention, my body instinctively tried to move away from her touch. Scared. Noticing my slight reaction, she gave a sort of snort of contempt. The last shred of defiance disappeared as soon as the blade touched my body. There was no chance of victory no matter how I resisted. I waited for her next move. All you could hear in the quiet room was our shallow breathing. The tip of the blade moved across my skin, making a small cut. My tensed-up nerves were extra sensitive, detecting the exact temperature of the air, the crudeness of the rope, and the sharpness of the blade. There was a certain feeling of warmth from the blood that flowed out of the wound and down my arm. Nevertheless, my mind was extremely clear. Kidnapping, human trafficking, organ trade. A few possibilities came to mind. There was no way to determine which. Since we have to hang out a little before I get the ransom, let me make a few things clear. Don't try to run or talk without permission. I don't mind breaking a few bones. Humans can handle a few just fine, after all. You hear me? I nodded quietly. I couldn't digest all the information at once, but one key word stood out. Ransom. Huh. The blade left my skin, and I swore I heard a little sigh escape from her. There was a sound of light footsteps moving toward the wall. Before I could even feel confused, a glaring light broke through the darkness of the room. Not able to adjust to the sudden brightness, it took me a moment to finally open my eyes. What came into view was totally foreign to me. The room was roughly 300 square feet in size. The wall that was meant for painting was now molded, its original color no longer visible. Time had its way with the room, causing everything to become decayed. Be it the wooden chair, desk, or bed, the resulting smell of mold in the air was the remnants of ruins you'd find in a movie. The owner of this place stood near the window with a taunting smirk on her lips. Never lived in a place like this, did you, rich boy? The words were clearly provocative. Bearing the burning pain, I tried to observe her through the lamplight. She was a young-looking woman. She wore a dark overcoat and a scarf, her shoulder-length hair casually scattered behind her back, with her bangs almost covering her eyes. Surprisingly, she wore no face mask or helmet, nor made any attempt to avoid my staring. She didn't even seem to mind her face being seen. She didn't have the stereotypical look of a criminal. Despite a hint of unease on her meager face, there wasn't an ounce of guilt within those dark brown pupils of hers that stared straight into me. You know what? I don't think her hair is shoulder length. It's way behind her back. Look at that. Okay. I hate people like you. She was talking to herself, ignoring how pale my face was and making no attempt to elaborate. This was not a conversation, but a simple declaration. Who was she? Where was I? What did she want? Why did she do such a thing? Countless questions circled around in my brain, but not a single sound came out of my mouth when I opened it. What did eventually come out was something totally unrelated. Why me? The unfamiliar, dry voice sounded like some rough sandpaper. Why? Oh, her facial expression is totally different now. The girl mumbled my question next to the window. The light reflected off the girl's face. Orange spots of light scattered across her messy hair, dancing like fire. She hung her head in contemplation. It took her a while to raise her head again with a grin. No particular reason. As though it was only natural. The empty voice held no emotions, but instead a malevolent sense of pleasure. The world is just unfair. Isn't that your favorite line? Seeing the shock in my eyes, she chuckled. With that mocking statement, the curtain was raised for the kidnapping incident. Day 1, kidnapping. Let's give this a save. I've got a case of the chills going down my spine, though. Like, oh my god. This is good so far. I'm excited to see where this takes us, honestly. Like, I really think this is going to be a good game. I get that sense already. Let's keep going a little bit more. See what happens next. I stood in a world of darkness. Oh, what? Hit the wrong button. There was no sky or ground, only endless darkness. A dream. I realized amidst all the fuzziness that I was in a dream, yet I couldn't control my thoughts. The intermittent noise was annoying, like a radio with poor signal. Suddenly, the ground began to slowly sink as if it were quicksand. I tried to move my legs, but realized I couldn't move. My heels, my knees, and then my arms. The darkness gradually devoured my body. I heard that vivid disdain before my vision was overtaken. I hate people like you. Situation. Well, we've been kidnapped. What time is it now? I couldn't tell the time. I needed to escape. Untying the rope was my only option. The only exits were the door and the window. Was there really nowhere else? I should try to converse with her. A better relationship could be beneficial. Maiden? A girl with long hair and sharp eyes. She didn't seem to be older than 30. Her pale skin didn't appear to be healthy, and she wore a clearly outdated overcoat and scarf. I still didn't know who she was. If only I could get her name at least. Why did she pick me as the target? Alright. Still half asleep, I opened my eyes. The room before me was still the same unfamiliar one. So it wasn't a dream. A long sigh couldn't relieve the depression in my chest, and my heart sunk to the pit of my chest. Oh my god, I love this Rabby poster right here. Hell yeah. I was kidnapped. What was their objective? What should I do? My mind was all blank. There was more confusion than fear. It's been said that in the presence of a threat, you either become petrified, try to flee, or try to fight. Reflexively stopping your actions to avoid catching predators' attention was probably the best way to describe how I felt. I tried to pull the rope, but nothing happened. The headache was hard to bear. The pain medication I usually kept on me was in my bag, which was out of reach in my current state. Damn it! My mind did get clearer after sleeping. Everything that happened yesterday still felt like a dream, but the reality of it was right before my eyes. Morning light brightened up the room. I could see the peeling paint on the wall and the old pieces of furniture. There was nothing but decay, as though it was untouched for a long time. Was it abandoned? Was it an abandoned, empty house? Or did they actually live here? The kidnapper was nowhere to be found. I couldn't hear anything, and thus couldn't tell how many people were around. Perhaps shouting for help might catch someone's attention, but the kidnapper might also be right outside the door. Contemplate the situation. Let's contemplate the situation. My yelling might not be heard, and I could get in trouble if it got the kidnapper's attention instead. I could still feel the pain from where I got kicked the day before. I tried to make myself a little more comfortable and relaxed my back by leaning on the wall. First, my physical condition. My hands were tied up to the point I had no space to move around, let alone release the rope. My body overall was fine, but I couldn't really rest in this position. I had to save my energy to escape. So where's to start? Where am I? Where was I? The house appeared to be more than a decade old. These sort of old apartments were everywhere in Taiwan. Oh, we're in Taiwan? If I could make my way to the window, I could at least tell which floor I was on. I couldn't see anything from here. I was kidnapped near a construction site. Maybe I could calculate how far I was by calculating the time of travel via car and the distance from there. I tried to picture it in my head, but gave up quickly. I had no clue what type of vehicle I was on. Hang on, am I reading this right? I had no clue what type of vehicle I was on, nor the exact length of time. Any estimate I made would be pure speculation. Before I could think any further, I heard footsteps outside. I couldn't help but tense up. Who was that? Before I made up my mind on how to respond, I saw the girl pushing open the door. Holding the knife and wearing the same overcoat and scarf, she stared at me. I tried to look back calmly, but I could still clearly feel my rapid heartbeat. Finally up, rich boy? I looked at her silently, trying to guess her intention from her words and actions. I have to admit, the art, like the character art, at least for her so far, is very nice. I really like the way it looks. Even if it is intimidating, it has a kind of Danganronpa feel to it. I was in an unfamiliar situation, and there were too many questions still unanswered. The location, the time, their objectives, any sort of information would help. You're free once your daddy pays up, so stay quiet. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what'll happen to you. After she told me that, she sat next to the window and lit a cigarette. It was easier to see her face in the sunlight. Her neglected long hair was messy, and her long bangs almost blocked her vision. Her pale skin wasn't makeup, more like something she was born with or the result of poor health. Or maybe drug abuse? Hey. The girl's voice broke my train of thought. She stared coldly at me with the cigarette in her hand. I will make a few things clear. When I contact your dad, don't talk, don't move, don't have any funny ideas. This is not a game. I do not have the patience, and I do not mind shutting you up by breaking 1 or 2 bones. Digesting her every word, I pondered what to say. Got it. I'll play by your rules. Still assessing the best way to deal with her. I should avoid triggering her for my own safety. You better. I am free once you get the money, right? What do you think? Her nonchalant answer proved my guess. Not that her accent meant anything. If a kidnapper's promise actually meant anything, then even world peace wouldn't be a pipe dream. How Chin Jiaon? I apologize. Gonna look this up real quick.
Token.
Hayachin.
Hao Chun. Age 18. Only son of CEO Hao Chun. Address is Chongqing Road, Lane 2. Living by himself, buying breakfast at 10 a.m. every day, jogging at the park at 8 p.m. Crams school every Tuesday and Thursday, which ends at 9:30 p.m. Always takes the shortcut at the walkway under construction. She lazily read my information and from time to time paused to look at me as if though anticipating something. Quite comprehensive. She grunted after noticing my lack of reaction. Leaking personal information wasn't new, but it was still uncomfortable to hear someone knowing your daily routine like they knew their own garage. If she knew that much about me, did that mean an acquaintance of mine was all behind this? My best attempts to remember still failed. Hard to believe she had any reason to pick me. No one but my parents and the building security knew my schedule, and none of them could be the leaker. First things first. You know you have to keep my feet tied up, don't you? I have no intention of running. Even if you don't believe me, my hands are still tied. Also, you have a knife. I couldn't run away like this, even if I wanted to. It's really uncomfortable being tied up like this, and it's just... I told you before. She interrupted me. She squatted before me and looked me right in the eye. I hate people like you. Having too much money to spend, never tasting any pain, and everything just goes your way. You know nothing, yet still act almighty like some big shot. Uncomfortable? You think I care? Let's make you more uncomfortable, I say. What a messed up personality. I felt her animosity, but didn't want to explain it to her. Too many people found society to be unfair, always blaming their failures on someone else, thinking they were victims of the system. If it was that easy to convince her, she wouldn't have kidnapped someone in the first place. Got nothing left to say now. Noticing my silence, she tried to provoke me. I wasn't dumb enough to argue with someone with my hands tied, especially if that person is holding a knife. Loser. Seeing how I didn't respond, she sneered and lost interest in me, returning to the window. So what now? Remaining actions. We have 4 of them. Talk to the kidnapper, observe, rest to restore stamina. Click on one of the topics. The list will change as you progress through the story. What do you want? Are you an idiot? She wants money. Money, of course. Do you think I enjoy kidnapping people? I mean, you seem like it. She grunted in disdain, then her mouth broke into a naughty smirk. Of course, teaching your type a lesson feels good, too. Otherwise, you would think the whole world revolves around you. Her words were still aggressive. I still had no idea why she was so mad. Everything else aside, just the fact I didn't even know her in person made it bizarre that she had such a grudge. So what happens after you get the money? Kidnapping is naturally for money, but money for what? Will they ask for more? Escape abroad? And most importantly, do they intend to let me go? What do you think? She raised the corner of her mouth and returned to the question. Her smile was creepy. It's none of your business anyway. You just pray your daddy pays up soon. That amount is nothing to you, right? I hope so too. Bringing this up covered my mind in shadow, but I couldn't do anything about it. So now what? Name. What's your name? The girl was staring at her phone and didn't hear my question, so I repeated it. Hyung Yi. I apologize if anyone watching this knows these sort of Korean names better than I do. I apologize. I'm not very well versed in these sorts of names, but I'll do my best. She carelessly said 2 syllables before suddenly shutting up. She raised her head and looked at me cautiously. Say again? I secretly remembered the particle answer, but acted as though I heard nothing. You think I'll tell you just so you can call the cops later? How should I address you then? Hearing my response, she burst into laughter. How to address me? Are you out of your mind? You can address me any way you want to. I'm not here to make friends. We'll rest. I should get some rest when I get the chance. I wasn't sure how much time had passed, and I had grown hungry. My head still hurt a little, and my tied-up limbs only made me moody. She just sat there staring at her phone. She kept dialing some numbers with an anxious expression. Why don't you eat something? Not hungry. Did you already eat this morning? She's probably just like... Just cut to the chase and stop beating around the bush, will you? She's probably just like, why is he trying to talk to me? This is weird. She replied coldly, staring at me with a certain annoyance. Hey, chill. Oh, fuck. Keep babbling, I dare you. Another kick out of nowhere. She looked down on me mercilessly. You want money, right? How much? None of your business. I tried to negotiate with her, but she just looked even more annoyed. Look, if you let me go now, all my money is yours. All the cash on me and in my bank account. That should work, right? I will say nothing and pretend this never happened. I live by myself anyway. No one will suspect it if I just say I took a walk. Shut up. You think I'm a fool? Why should I believe you? You think you can just talk your way out of this? Just shut up and wait for your daddy to pay. She snorted and showed no interest in my proposal. What if he won't? He will. She interrupted me, raising her eyebrow in response. You will be in real trouble if he doesn't. I realized her implication. My dry chuckle felt bitter. She had a point. I would be in trouble without the ransom. I suppressed my worry, knowing it was not the time to panic. My priorities were collecting as much information as possible, replenishing my stamina, and finding a chance to escape. Can I have something to eat or drink? I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. Oh? The rich boy is already hungry after skipping one meal. Yep. I admitted without hesitation. My hunger was real, and there was nothing impressive about hiding that. She coldly retorted, and she poured me a glass of water from the bottle after a grunt. I can't grab it unless you untie me. Just lick it like a dog. I tried to convince her to loosen up the rope, but she had no intention of doing so. Just drink it. Then please hold it still. Seriously? Noticing I would do as she suggested, she sounded surprised. Wasn't it your idea? If I don't want to, you can just feed me yourself. Not breaking a sweat, I coldly replied. Pride was not edible, and I had to keep my strength. Why you? I was used to it. If someone wanted to insult or enrage you, just accept it plainly. People are like cats. Hey. They don't show interest in toys that don't struggle. Oh yeah, that's kind of true. That's true of cats. Don't move. No longer composed, she moved closer to me with the water in her hand. What are you? I was pressed to the wall without finishing my sentence. She bent my head and forced the water down my throat like some sort of torture. Gurgle, gurgle. Want some more? She raised her eyebrows, smiling victoriously. Screw you. I couldn't say anything while choking. The spilled water soaked my clothes, making me tremble in this cold weather. That was straightforward and violent. But at least I can rest for a little while after drinking some water. The cell phone on the table started vibrating. She stole a glance at me with pursed lips after seeing the number. People had small gestures when they were under pressure, like pursing lips, slipping hair, and biting nails. The person in question might not be aware of it, but one's body language can reveal his or her true emotions. Stay here and don't you dare make a sound. Leaving with that threat, she walked out through the door with her phone. With the door closed shut, I vaguely heard the conversation outside, but was not able to figure out the exact content. Was it an accomplice? There was even less of a chance of escape if there were more of them. I sighed toward the sky, as though mocking my effort. Every undesirable outcome had occurred. If there was only her, then I had to rest as much as possible. There might be a chance to escape when she wasn't careful. The door wasn't the only exit. I might be able to jump out the window if I could free myself from the ropes. Locations, head count, weapons, too many uncertainties, let alone how to untie this damn rope. If it was more practical to figure something out on my own than to wait for rescue. It would have been ideal if I could persuade her to let me go. I absolutely could not trigger her before I was prepared. At the very least, I should let her drop her guard to facilitate my escape. After that, I would play it by ear. Let's try to find something of use while she's not around. When the cursor changes to the eye icon, you can look at certain objects by clicking on it. The synthetic leather is all ragged, with the cotton inside of it exposed like a gutted dead body. What a bad omen. It is a wooden wardrobe closet of a certain age with a nasty moldy smell. The ravages of time really messed up the door, as though one kick would totally shatter it. There's really not much to look at here, is there? Oh, we can figure out the time. A closer look reveals that the clock is not even moving. The hand points at 5:46, so we can't even figure out the time. So all my time estimates are pointless now. Who knows how much time has passed? Even though I don't know the time, at least I am not misguided by the wrong information. The sunlight shone through the window at a certain angle, adding some dynamicism to the dark room. Even the moldy smell seemed to be much fainter. Damn it! The girl walked back and forth in the room, anxiety clear on her face. What's wrong? Your dad doesn't want to believe you're with us. What an idiot. Why not let me talk to him? Shut up! Who do you think you are? Did I ask for your opinion? Triggering her sensitive nerve, she threw me another kick. I just think it might be more effective. No one cares what you think. Shut up and wait for the ransom. Got it? What's so funny? You think I won't lay a finger on you? She frowned upon hearing my laughter, then took out her weapon threateningly. No, it's just that I'm not that important to him. What do you mean? Noticing how odd my statement was, she raised her eyebrow and followed up. I haven't contacted my family for a long time. Our relationship isn't as close as you may think. Ever since I got kidnapped, I've been wondering if I should tell her that or not. I was a poor choice for a hostage. Maybe she would let me go or silence me instead. However, it was only a matter of time before she found out, so I might have been transparent here. Why? Rebellious phase or something? He's self-centered. Or maybe he's just a workaholic. My complicated family relationship was hard to explain in a few words. I was deciding how to piece my sentences together to answer her question. He spends half of the year abroad and never cares about the family. He will work till midnight, even when he's back in Taiwan. I don't see him that often on holidays. It's always about the company. It's all for the stockholders and employees, etc. In my opinion, it's all for his own ego. Whether it was my graduation, birthday, or even car accident, he never showed up. Not even a damn single call. Clearly his job is far more important than me. He probably wouldn't even know about the accident if not the hospital calling an emergency contact. I tried to shrug, but my tied-up hands made it impossible. Anyway, he doesn't care if I'm dead or alive. He might even feel relieved about me getting kidnapped. Sorry about that, but you would have had better luck with his secretary. Hell, if you let me go now, I can even tell you his secretary's number as a bonus. I proposed to her half-jokingly, yet her reaction was unexpected. She didn't open her mouth, instead just looking at me coldly from beside the window. You think that's funny? To my surprise, she walked up to me while flipping her hair. You think you deserve sympathy? You want me to pity you? She grabbed my collar and pulled me so close I could feel her breathe. Car accident? Hospitalized? Your daddy doesn't give a shit about you? Be grateful that he didn't leave you in a pile of debt. You think everyone has a happy family? School, meals, a home. So many things you take for granted aren't the case for us. Stop acting like some victim if you know nothing. You just make me want to puke. Every word was delivered clearly. Her voice contained a certain indescribable weight. Seeing me not responding, she let go of my collar and spat on the ground angrily. I'm wasting my time. Realizing she might have spoken too much, she turned her head and returned to the window like a bursted bubble. Well, that didn't work. I sighed lightly. Things wouldn't be that easy after all. It was true. I wanted to win her pity, but that was no lie either. A father always working and a mom never home. That's the image of my family. Every time I was home, all I could see upon opening the door was vast, empty living room. I noticed how big the house was, so big that I could feel only emptiness. I breathed out, raised my head, and looked at that small part of the sky from the window. The only lie was that I no longer felt hurt by it. Hunger. Night came and I had eaten nothing but some crackers. I never knew starving could be this uncomfortable. She didn't seem to eat anything either. She was either staring at her phone or smoking while looking out the window. There were a few phone calls, but they were all made outside, so I couldn't hear them. I didn't know what they discussed, but it didn't appear to be the negotiation with my I didn't know what they discussed, but it didn't appear the negotiation with my family was smooth. After all the hesitation, I decided to ask her. What? I need to go to the bathroom. She stole a glance at me, but acted as though she heard nothing. I said, I need to go to the bathroom. I repeated myself. This time she slowly turned toward me. You. She probably didn't expect my physiological needs. She opened her mouth awkwardly, but couldn't say anything. Can't you figure something out on your own? Clearly the type that got angry when having nothing to say, she turned her head with a stern face, knocking on the desk with her knuckle. Realizing this might be a chance to make her untie the rope, I grew silent. Not knowing my plan, she acted carefree, but kept stealing glances in my direction. Since it was about time, I sighed innocently. Guess I have to do it here after all. Wait! Seeing I wasn't joking, she stopped me with a darkened face. Are you a dumbass? Can't you go to the bathroom yourself? Staying in an old house is one thing, but even the kidnapper wouldn't want to stay in a room filled with crap. But I can't even unzip myself like this. You are so annoying! She pushed me to the wall suddenly and turned me over. What on? I panicked over not seeing anything. I tried to turn myself back, but only heard a cold voice next to my ear. Be quiet. She pressed my body with her elbow, and I felt a cold sensation on my back. No question about what that was. No talking, no struggling. If you move, I stab. If you yell, I stab. She wasn't going to castrate me, was she? She knew that even without my genitals, I'd still need to go to the bathroom, right? I kept under control and made sure I didn't speak, quietly awaiting her next move. Suddenly, the restriction on my hands disappeared. Oh. It was quite a relief, both mentally and physically. My hands were finally free, and I felt like all my energy was used up. I never thought moving freely could bring such happiness. Even my shoulders and neck felt much better. If I could move my hands, my chance of escape was much higher. Raise your hands. As though she saw through me, I saw the sharp knife when I turned around. I told you to raise your hands. Wait a second. I won. She was totally not giving me a chance to explain myself. Not risking my own life, I raised my hands obediently. I can't escape even without the rope. Who would be so dumb as to fight someone with a knife? She ignored my nagging and showed no hesitation with her movements. My happiness evaporated instantly. Within a minute of my freedom, I returned to being a prisoner. One glance at the bathroom, and adequate was the only word I could think to describe it. The old bathroom naturally wasn't huge. The light from the window was the only illumination, and the air smelled of mold. The tiles were engulfed with dirt, the bathtub covered in tiles, and the ink green toilets all looked like products of the last century. The drain was so nasty I couldn't even bear to look at it. I tried to make a face in the mirror, but the reflection was so blurry I couldn't even recognize myself. My effort to tear the rope was in vain. I tried to move my hands back and forth, but I couldn't move it without some tool. If I could find some sort of sharp item like a razor or broken tile. Done yet? You better not have any funny ideas. Almost done. She sounded impatient outside the door. To avoid suspicion, I chose not to stay long. I prepared to leave after finishing my business. Bathroom breaks were the only time I was by myself. If only I could find some weapon. I twisted the faucet. Surprisingly, there was still running water. Upon exiting, she immediately moved closer in case I was hiding something. From the rope to my pockets, she didn't miss any detail. There's nothing, really. Even the body search didn't seem to remove her suspicion of me, as though there was no way I could be disobedient. It'll be fine if I cooperate, right? I'm not brave enough to risk my life. You better not be. You're the only one in trouble if you try to escape. If the rope can't hold you, I wouldn't mind breaking your leg. Making that final threat, she returned to the window and lit a cigarette. She tiredly supported her head. That messy hair hid her expression, making it hard to tell her thoughts, which seemed to disappear with the cigarette smoke. Hey! She recklessly went through my cell and suddenly asked, "Why don't you have your mom's number here?" I accidentally deleted it. Oh? She's busy. No time for me. Having no intention to talk about my family, I tried to end the topic quickly. Yet she started laughing mockingly. So busy she doesn't even know that her own son was kidnapped? Isn't your dad the only one working? What is she busy with? Shopping, afternoon tea, buying luxury purses abroad? How biased can you be? I was fed up with her unreasonable attitude, trying to paint rich people as pigs drowning in money and all sorts of luxury. They had no ability nor brains and were only good at ordering people around with money, exhausted their employees every day to earn another dollar to waste. I didn't know how many people believed in such stereotypes, always suspecting others were doing something illegal if they had a better life than themselves. They didn't ponder the reason behind those differences, but simply laminated the social injustice and cursed others' success. Such blinded hatred of the rich was simply laughable. All these claims of, they're just lucky and rely on their parents, I could do the same if I were rich, were just to propel forward their self-righteousness. Biased? Hearing my words, she snorted and raised an eyebrow in disapproval. Are you kidding me? Aren't you the one with the bias? What can you achieve without a diploma? Hey, who let people like her in? Watch out, she must be a thief if she's poor. Aren't those your slogans? After her lively imitation, she burst into laughter, a voice filled with self-deprecation. I would like to know what I've done to deserve all your bias. Her tone sounded like one who had been through so much discrimination. I wasn't sure what sort of experience had led to such an extreme mindset. Yet such words from the mouth of a kidnapper seemed only to prove these biased statements. Whatever. She turned her head and was unwilling to say more. Night arrived. Her eyes sparkled like stars and focused on some faraway place I couldn't reach. It couldn't be helped, I know that. The world isn't fair. The girl's whisper was barely audible, and I wasn't sure if it was directed at me or to herself. It echoed within the room like some spell and stayed for a long time. Many things were easier than expected. She never knew kidnapping could be this easy. He was taken without any sort of resistance. The girl looked at the boy next to the wall, who curled his body up to preserve some warmth. The short and rapid breathing seemed to indicate he couldn't find peace even in a dream. Uncertain if he had really fallen asleep, the girl didn't close her eyes despite her drowsiness, afraid he might escape if she wasn't careful. Once she got the ransom, she could start a new life, away from the stigma and boredom. The cell phone flashed a notification. Some hesitation flew across the girl's face, but it reverted back to the same look of sternness. She had long decided that it didn't matter what it would take. So long she had lived for someone else, it was time to fight for her own right. I really like this game so far. I know we will be seeing a full playthrough of this on the channel because this is very interesting. Like, a girl who wants a new life and a guy who, you know, just wants to get out of this situation, doesn't mind handing over all of his wealth to her, you know, and he's not even cared about by his family enough to be saved. What a interesting situation. I hope it doesn't try to ship the two. I don't know. I feel like there'd be some ethical issues with trying to get with someone who kidnapped you. But I'm also curious if we're going to see the other girl from the title screen at some point. I really hope so. I really hope so. This game is interesting. But alrighty, everybody, I'd like to hear your comments down below. What direction do you think the game is going to take itself in? Do you think we're just going to be in the same room this whole time? Do you think we'll find a way to escape? What kind of decisions do you think are going to come up eventually? But alrighty, everybody, until next time, you all have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!